Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Celebrations at midnight as Shanghai reopens after draconian 2-month COVID-19 lockdown following 2 months of frustration, despair and economic loss. Shanghai's draconian COVID-19 lockdown is largely over. Most of Shanghai's 25 million residents can now freely leave home, return to work, use public transport and drive their cars, a moment that for many in China's largest and most cosmopolitan city felt like it would never arrive. At midnight, small groups gathered in the city's former French concession neighborhood, whistling, shouting "ban lifted," and clinking glasses of champagne. Earlier, streets were lively as residents picnicked on grassy patches and children rode bikes down car-free roads. Dancing retirees, a common evening sight in Chinese cities, strutted their stuff for the first time in months in open-air plazas and along the Huanghe River. Officials, who set June 1 as the target date for reopening earlier in May, appear ready to accelerate what has been a gradual easing in recent days. The epidemic has been effectively controlled, Vice Mayor Zhong Ming said. Lu Kexin, a high school senior visiting the city's waterfront area for the first time since late March, said she struggled being trapped at home for so long. "I am very happy to be out, extremely happy, all the way too happy," she said. "I could die." Shanghai Disneyland, which has yet to announce a reopening date, live-streamed a light show to celebrate the lifting of Shanghai's lockdown. It used a Chinese expression that also means ban that city officials have avoided. Under streetlights, barbers gave haircuts to residents who had grown shaggy under lockdown. On the WeChat social media platform, shops announced their reopening plans. "I walked the dog and the dog is pretty excited because it has been a really long time for it to come outside," said Melody Dong, who was looking forward to eating hot pot and barbecue, foods that are difficult to make at home. Shanghai's ordeal has come to symbolize what critics say is the unsustainability of China's adherence to a zero-COVID policy that aims to cut off every infection chain, at any cost, even as much of the world tries to return to normal despite ongoing infections. The most difficult part of the lockdown was psychological, Cao Yu, who has worked in Shanghai for 5 years, said. She recalled the early days when it was difficult to buy food and she did not know what to do. "It was quite depressing to be locked at home and see the whole Shanghai under lockdown," she said. Read more. More than 500,000 people in the city of 25 million will not be allowed out Wednesday, 190,000 who are still in lockdown areas and another 450,000 who are in control zones because they live near recent cases. The lack of a road map to exit from an approach that is increasingly challenged by the highly contagious Omicron variant has rattled investors and frustrated businesses. COVID-19 curbs in Shanghai and numerous other Chinese cities have battered the world's second-largest economy and tangled global supply chains, although case numbers have improved and curbs have eased from the depths of April's lockdowns. China says its approach, a signature policy of President Xi Jinping, is needed to save lives and prevent its healthcare system from being swamped. The uncertainty and discontent caused by China's COVID-19 management have created unwanted turbulence in a sensitive political year, with Mr. Xi poised to secure a third leadership term in the autumn. "The mood tonight is a bit like high school days," wrote one user of the Twitter-like Weibo social media platform. "On the eve of the school year I was full of expectations for the new semester but I feel a little uneasy in my heart." Shanghai recorded 29 new cases on Monday, continuing a steady decline from more than 20,000 a day in April. Beijing, the nation's capital, further eased restrictions in some districts on Tuesday. The city has imposed limited lockdowns, but nothing near a citywide level, in a much smaller outbreak that appears to be on the wane. According to local media reports, 3 testing laboratories in Beijing are being investigated by police for improper testing protocols that have allegedly led to inaccurate test results. A city scarred during 2 months, numerous residents of the country's most important financial and economic hub struggled to get enough food or medical care. Families were separated and hundreds of thousands were forced into centralized quarantine facilities. At the factories and offices that remained open, including those of Shanghai government officials, workers lived on site in closed loops, bunking on makeshift beds, with many of them only now able to return home. Curbs were lifted for about 22.5 million people in low-risk areas. Residents must still wear masks in public and avoid gatherings. Restaurant dining remains banned. Shops can